Blessings. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Thank you, sweet sage. Thank you, this blessed community. It is always just such an amazing gift to be with you for these live streams. They are turning into quite a passage for me personally. And I'm so grateful your presence. I'm so grateful all the ways that you hold space for these teachings. And I'm so grateful to be in communion with you and to know that the teachings resonate with you deeply as they do with me. So thank you again, everyone, for being here this morning. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is 4D Trinity, my weekly live stream. It is here we bridge heaven on earth. We bridge and activate fourth dimensional consciousness through the unity of mind, body, and through the union of mind, body, and emotions with spirit. It is here that I teach that your spirit is always one. Your spirit is always one. The mind, the body, the emotions may experience fragmentation, dematerialization, and require healing, deep, deep healing at times. Sometimes almost a healing that brings you to death's door so that you can be reminded of your truth and remember it with absolute clarity and allow that truth to ground you from a place of love and only love. And that's all we do here, is we talk about truth as it resides in your heart, your truth. We talk about truth as it is and resides as the feeling realization of love. And that is love without an opposite, love and only love. It is such a powerful passage. And as always, I'm so very grateful. So thank you for joining. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for commenting and saying hello. Before we get started, I do want to acknowledge the new followers on Instagram. Thank you so much. I'm really so grateful. I love Instagram and I love YouTube so very much. And thank you all of the new subscribers at YouTube. It's really exciting to share these teachings and to feel the community grow, to feel that there's a sense of the seeds of these teachings taking root. And I know last week I was sharing that I would have an announcement, and I am making a film. I'm making a film titled Grid Mind Science. And really what I'll say is God is making a film and I'm helping. I'm helping God make a film titled Grid Mind Science that is based on practically 2 decades of teachings that I've been sitting with, that were bestowed and channeled through the teacher that I worked with and apprenticed with between the years of 2000 and 2003. And most of it, a lot of the foundation is in my book, The REIKI Apprentice. And the journey is metaphysics. The journey is educating and empowering the masses to understand metaphysics, to understand the way energy works in the universe, to understand that it's already working and that we are already contributing. We are already participating in how that energy moves and flows in the universe, and learning how to access a language of light through our conscious word and thought, that we may remember the truth in our hearts, heal our lives with a new system, with the grid method and applied metaphysics, that we will bridge heaven on earth. And why? Not to change the world, not because things are messed up and they need to be fixed, but simply because we can. Simply because it is our inherent birthright to live in peace, to live in truth, to live in the frequency of love and in light. And so I'm very, very grateful and very excited to share that with you. I will be activating the website, the social media for that, and I would be so grateful for all of your support of following. And if you are a subscriber, what I also want to say, thank you for saying hi in the comments here. I'm so grateful. What I do want to say as well is, besides thank you for subscribing and following on Instagram and YouTube, if you enjoy the teachings and you appreciate what I share, go to my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com, and sign up for my monthly love letter. It's my monthly newsletter. I call it a love letter. And every month I share with my subscribers on where I'm at in life, and there's always offerings regarding the teachings I share. And there's a lot of alchemy energy. And today with our topic, sickness and spirituality, it's really a very potent passage, right, of initiation, sickness, which we're going to be breaking down and getting into here shortly. But it's understanding that you are an alchemist, understanding your part, if you should receive it, if you should take it, in the healing of your life, the healing of your body, and how masterful and potent that practice can be. So that is the theme of this month's love letter, and it just went out a couple days ago, Sunday. So if you're interested, go to my website. The link is at the first page, my main page on Instagram, and it's down below in the show more box at my YouTube channel. And it's the very first page. You just give me your first name, your email, and you will then be on my subscriber list. And as well, this month, there's a very special gift. There's a few gifts for my subscribers to the website. You receive access to a paper, an article I had published in the Sedona Journal of Emergence called Conscious Alchemy, which speaks to this theme. And also, you will receive a link for a free download of a set of really powerful power affirmations that you can listen to, and if they resonate, you can download. And it is recorded in such a way that the affirmation is said, and then there is space and time for you to repeat it in your own mind, in your own heart, in your own way, and then followed by the next affirmation. And it's only a little 5-minute recording MP3, but I pray that it serves you. So again, if that's something of interest to you, subscribe at my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com. All of my links, main page of the Instagram, and down below at the show more box. Again, thank you for saying hi on YouTube. I'm so grateful for your support and for being here. So if you are also a subscriber to my website, or my YouTubers know, in my recent love letter, I had posted a link to what I'm doing is I'm keeping a log for the movie, for the film that I'm making, Grid Mind Science. And in that log, I speak at depth. It's about an hour long, the first one, and I speak at depth about this recent illness, this sickness that I've been through, and how when we truly give our lives over to the truth in our heart, relinquish, lay down our fears, which is an initiation, right, in itself, and allow the process to be guided by a power bigger than us, right? And I say the God word a lot, which is just love. So when we allow love, when we allow God, when we allow universe, our angels, whatever name you might give that energy, that power that is bigger than you, that is love and only love, There is an initiation because we are allowing ourselves to be called to that truth in our hearts that excites us, that turns us on, that awakens cellular memory into purpose, a calling, a sense of why we're here. And when we give that energy, when we give that those seeds of truth within us the right of way to be watered by us getting out of the way and trying to control things, people, places, and such, but simply abide in the knowing, in the acknowledgement, in the acceptance of what is in the heart space, and activation begins to happen, especially when you do invite in God, when you do invite in whether it's the ascended angels, your archangels, whoever you work with. Quite possibly a very powerful initiation will come to be. I know that's been my experience, because what is happening is we are saying yes to the truth in our hearts. And by saying yes to that truth, we are inviting in the healing in whatever way, shape, and form it is to happen for the highest good, that will allow us to align vibrationally with the purity of that truth, of that vision, of those set points, of those seeds within us. And relinquishing control is mega, right? It's huge. And so, and also, especially if you're a creative artist, letting go of how you think it needs to all be done. The set decorations, the timing, especially the timing, the who, what, where, when. You just learn to let that go, to let that go, to let that go. And so a state of grace comes over you, and a heightened ability, if you allow it to be carried. Your ability to be carried in that surrender gives you levity, levitational power, by which those superpowers of God, of higher self, of source, of love, of light, can carry you and carry the project, the vision, the whatnot. And so for me, I'm so very grateful to announce that I am embarking on this journey of trusting my heart, of trusting my truth, of trusting God, of showing up and allowing this film to be made through me. So again, thank you for all of your support here, there, everywhere, through all dimensions, time and space. So thank you. And I'm just going to have a look here at the, oh, Skylark, blessings, blessings. And it's so funny. I got these new glasses, and Ashish, hi, blessings. It's so funny because they're the bifocals for driving and for reading. And look at, now I'm seeing myself on the screen on YouTube. It's so funny having to lift the glasses up, because as many of you know, I have these to read, and these are the dollar store. These are the dollar store glasses that my eyes have gotten so used to in using. And I finally got around to getting the prescription lenses. And now I realize, like, oh, I need a pair that's just that one prescription to read. So back to the drawing board. I mean, I'll still use these, but I realize I may be toggling back and forth. So it's quite a comedy of not so much errors, but comedy all the same. So we're going to get right into it this morning. So thank you again for hanging out for that introduction. I'm so very grateful. You know what? And before we get into it, a part of our getting into it, and how I am often guided that these spaces would be held for us, is that we enter a rose quartz crystal cave. And if you are a healer, if you do work, hi, blessings. Thank you for showing up on Instagram. Blessings, fam. I'm so very grateful. So we're just about to begin here. And I'm just sharing that if you are a healer, if you do work with clients long distance over the phone, or, on your FaceTime or Google Hangouts, or in any way, shape, and form where you are in your home and you are inviting in the presence of someone else and all of their entities, all of their team as well, that if this idea resonates with you, that you might use it yourself and in your own way. And I know what's guided for me is that every show that I do here on the YouTube, on the Instagram, and even with clients, when I do phone work, I do a lot of phone spiritual counseling and guidance, is that we enter the rose quartz crystal cave. And the idea, and we'll do it officially here in a moment. We'll take a breath and we'll take a moment. We'll all call in our guides and our angels and whatnot. But the idea is that in a multidimensional metaphysical way, you as the facilitator are creating a sacred space that is not in your home, right? And especially if you lay in your bed and you talk to clients, as I often do, in the afternoon. I will have worked in the morning and I'll come home and I'll have my little coffee or something and I'll be lounging. You know, you want to keep your space clear and cleansed. And so as it resonates, whether it's a rose quartz crystal cave, a clear quartz, an aquamarine, you know, whatever your jam is, a lava crystal cave or whatever it might be, maybe it's something completely different. But the idea is that you invoke for the highest good of all, always. Everything we do is for the highest good of all. You invoke that sacred space where all of your higher selves, all of our higher selves meet to do the work. And whether it's just like this, there's a little show, there's a transmission, a sharing of energy, maybe a few comments, and you know, we have a little conversation, or on the phone, etc. You can even do that when you have in-person clients, where you set up, you know, a bubble, a sacred space in your space that holds that space. I do have an article at my Reiki Apprentice. It's called Reiki Apprentice. It's on Blogspot is the name of the blog. And I have several blogs there, and there's a blog specific about setting up sacred space. But anyway, so we're going to start by entering the rose quartz crystalline cave. And this is the rose quartz that I often use as a talking stone when I facilitate workshops in circles. And I use this as a touchstone. It's a community crystal as well. So when I work with clients with Reiki, I don't put any of my own personal intentions or programming on this, but this crystal knows that it is of service to the community and that it serves for the highest good, that which it should, you know, as just whatever its love is supposed to do through it. For the highest good of the individual. And often it will just be in the room with us. And if a client, they get to know it, you know, that it's here for them, and they'll be, yeah, you know, and then I allow them to talk to the crystal and to be guided to where it might lay on their person or in their hand for the session. So again, none of my personal stuff is on this. This is a community. It's not programmed for my personal intention or anything like that. It's community love. So with that, we'll take a moment as the raven caws out there. We'll take a moment and we'll take a breath. And with this breath, we'll enter the rose quartz crystalline cave. As our higher selves, we meet here to share the work that we will do together in the highest, purest love and light, and for the highest good of all, always, through all time, space, through all dimensions. We call in our angels, our guides, ascended masters, those loved ones perhaps that have passed from this life, that we may be guided to call in to hold space for us on this day. For these teachings, we call in our animal spirit totems. All light beings who love us, we welcome you in this rose quartz crystalline cave. We welcome you and we thank you. And we thank you. And so it is. And just so you know, at the end, when we finish these transmissions, we all exit the cave and we leave it even nicer than when we showed up. Kindred soul sister. You see, sometimes I can see without the glasses, and sometimes I need the glasses. So Lorena's here. Blessings. Oh, thanks. Nice to see you. And sometimes, you know, and I was saying earlier that I have the two glasses. I have the dollar store ones, and then I have the fancy ones, but I realize, oh, wait, no, can I see? Maybe I can't. I can see clearly now. The rain has come. Mike says he's so excited about the movie. Thank you. I know. Me too. It's cray cray. You do the same thing with glasses. You can't use the bifocals. They make you nauseous. I know. It's totally a comedy. Well, I tried the progressives. I tried. I did my best. And I know try is one of those words, right? But I did my best. And I'm like, no, I'm not there yet. So anyway, my dear friends, we're going to get right into it now. Sickness and spirituality. A couple nights ago, I put the tape recorder on and I just started talking about it. And last night I transposed a lot of the notes. So I will be doing some reading, a lot of reading, because the notes And what was said on the recording is pretty poignant for our conversation today. So I'll be dipping in and out. So we're going to go in. Sickness and spirituality, healing. All it is getting in there and putting the right codes in there, right? Meaning in your mind, in your body, in your emotions. The codes, what codes? The codes that match your truth, right? Let's think about it. It takes a lot of energy to be ill. I spent how many weeks were in March? It feels like there were 5 weeks in March or something. I feel like I was ill for 4 of them. Like it just went on and on and on. And it takes a lot of energy, right? To be sick, to be ill. So the first invitation is to think about all the little ailments you have. And remember, this is all out of love and light. We're just doing the work here. All of the little ailments you have, or that you complain about, or that you talk about. And often these things might be unconscious, where until we're conscious of them, right? It's just a ticker tape that goes in our mind. And so, but let's just take a moment. Like, do you know, maybe you have chronic back pain, and that's just an everyday thing where you're like, this back of mine, or I'm a yoga teacher. And often in class, students will be like, that's my bad knee, or that's my bad foot. That foot never cooperates, or whatever it is, you know, but they've like put that spell, if you will, on that part of the body. So what are the common ailments? Or I know someone who, in the past, I'm going to give them credit because I haven't heard them complain about it in a long time. Every single time they would eat, there would be a negative something going on, which would cause an irritable digestive situation. So even in sickness, right, where I know we're going to talk about sickness, yet those little ailmenty things are, hey, Katie, blessings. Thank you for saying hi. Those little ailmenty things are a part of the process, though. Those are very, very important and not to be overlooked. So think about it. What are your things? And be honest. Be honest with yourself, because that's how we get the work done, right? Are you a chronic complainer about your digestion? Every time you eat, is it like a whole big thing? And then you're like in bed for 2 hours with whatever. Is it your back? Is it your knee? Is it your fingertip, your shoulder, your nose? I don't know. Do you constantly, but a headache, like to almost 24 hours a day, there was like a headache. Constantly, like the ibuprofen, they would buy like those huge, I'm like, it goes from here to here. Those like huge bottles of ibuprofen, and just be popping them like little candies, because the headache was like just always something, you know, going on. So what are your things? Okay. Now think about, right, all the meds, like I was just saying about my ex, think about all the meds or the prescriptions or, you know, all the things that then maybe that you need because of the illness, because of the ailments that you take, right? And then we're going to think about how much time you spend tending to your ailments, as well as taking meds and medicating, and how much energy then you have left afterwards. Again, it's fucking exhausting being ill. It takes a lot of energy to have ailments. It really takes a lot of energy to have ailments. Let's think about that for a moment and look at it in that way. That's a lot of energy, right? I mean, I remember in this last month, I'm usually like 100,000 million volts, and I'm still not even back to my full capacity yet, but I'm so much better, and I'm so very grateful for my massive healing. Yet when you lose those voltages, like you got to really pay attention, right? It really requires us to pay attention, to be present with what's going on. So what if you could add up all those hours and all those days, all those minutes, all those months and years of the chronic complaining, the chronic, you know, the ailment, the thing that you talk about every day. Maybe there's nothing that you talk about every day. Maybe you're like, praise this body. Bless this body, this temple of mine. You know, maybe hey, okay. But because the theme today is sickness and spirituality, we're going in. We're going to assume that there's might be something that we get to work on here. Okay. But if not, take what you will. So, but adding up all those minutes, all that time, all that energy, that has been spent complaining or and I'm not trying to judge here, we're not doing that, but just the time and the energy that it takes to be ill, to have an ailment, to tend to the ailment, right? Just think about that. If you added it all up and if you put it all in a bank account, and if for each, second you had $1, how rich would you be? How do you look at your personal bouts of sickness? So we're going to start to move towards this aspect of looking at illness and sickness from 3D and 4D, right? Vision. So how do you look at your personal bouts of sickness? So even like me, right? Like it started as like a little cold. And then it went to, urgent care, taking like all of these drugs that they did on me in there and that they sent me home with, but that was totally guided. And higher self was like, you got to get your ass right now in there and 3D this shit. You got to take care. You got to 3D take care of what's going on here. And there's a time for all that, right? Because I'm I like to do it all natural. I had my castor oil packs and my prayers and my Reiki and all that. And there's a point though, that if we're listening, that your body will always guide us, will always tell us how to take care of ourselves. And I had reached the point where I needed to go in 3D and just zap that stuff out. Yet, so whether you get a cold, you get the flu, you get diarrhea, you get a toothache, a stubbed toe, right? Do you look at it as something to treat, like just the symptoms? Just get me better and then get me back to work. Like this cold is taking me out of the game, right? You got to get rid of it as soon as possible so you can get back in the hustle. Like, do you look at it like that? Or do you see the physical? So do you see the physical specifically and just like a body that needs to, have the drugs, tend to the things, take care of it and move on with life? Or do you take a pause and consider things multidimensionally? Consider things metaphysically. There's an amazing book. I know many of you know Louise Hay. Her book, she has her book, You Can Heal Your Life, which is, the bomb, diddly bomb, diddly bomb. And this is actually her very first book, Heal Your Body. She was one of the first professors of metaphysics. She died last year or the year before, she was in her 90s, just pristine, pure white light goddess woman, teacher, healer, facilitator. And this is a really phenomenal book. And I'm gonna invite you just to throw some things out here. We'll do one or two. And what it has is it's just a list. It's just a listing. And what it has is it has the problem, whether you have, a toothache, abdominal cramps, or cancer, with all due respect, the problem, the probable cause, like what's going on emotionally, and then the new thought pattern, how to correct it in the mental. This is so the bomb, the jam. If you have her, I've bought it and given it away so many times, her You Can Heal Your Life book, but I have the workbook still, because that's mine and it has my writing, where I've done the work in it. But this section is in her You Can Heal Your Life book. But this was the first little book that she ever put out. And she, like in the 80s, metaphysics was, I don't know how old you are, if you're as old as I am. But in the 80s, metaphysics was like this very common thing. And there were these facilitators and people that would preach the word of metaphysics. Like it was like a thing that was very accepted and acknowledged. And I feel like we're coming back into this realm where we are collectively accepting. We are collectively accepting this idea of there is a world that exists in the invisible realm. And I see Lorena. Oh, blessings, Lorena. Do you know what? Today is not that day. Let me pause, everyone. Once a month on this show is when I do the Q&A on 4D Trinity. And it is not today. And it is not next week. It is the week after. It is once a month. So just to let you know, I would love to do a reading for you, my dear. But we're not going to do that show for another 2 weeks. Okay. And I post on my Insta, and I should, you know, the week before have it up on the YouTube. So you'll see which 4DT, the title of it is coming up. And when I do the Q&A, and I'm so grateful for the community with that, because I love doing those shows, but it will just have the title Q&A, Ask Me Anything. So just so you know, okay, hon? But I'd love to read for you. But so just for fun, right? Does anyone want to throw out a problem? And we'll look it up and we'll see what Louise Hay says. And then we're gonna go on. But you know, she has the flu, she has fever, the lungs, which was what I was dealing with, malaria, ringworm, rickets, scabies. I mean, she's got everything in here. And she even breaks down the spine. So, you know, and if you follow me, my story, you know, I've had all sorts of stuff go on. But she breaks down like the actual vertebrae. So if you know you have something in your lumbar 5 or in your C6 or something like, and if this resonates with you, she will help you break it down and heal it with a new thought pattern. Now the God phone is ringing. I'm going to let you sit on this. If you have an ailment or even just for fun, something you want to put in the comments, I will look it up and we'll try it out. But the God phone is ringing. So let's go ahead and answer. Hello? Yes, God. What's up? I know, the new glasses. You like them? Ah! I do too. I know. And you know, because I bought them online and you never know. You never know. It's that funny thing where you put your picture, you put like a picture of you and then they like superimpose the glasses on your face and you just cross your fingers and hope. No, I don't hope. You're right. I don't hope. God's quoting me back to me. You're so right. I don't hope. Actually, hope I've taken out of my vocabulary. That's right. God's saying, in fact, you say nope to hope. It's true. And now God's quoting me again. Go straight to faith. You can drop hope, say nope to hope, and just go straight into faith. That's right. So whatever that's about. Yes. Oh, faith with our sickness and spirituality topic. I would love to read from A Course in Miracles. Yes, God says hi to everyone. Oh, thank you for reminding us. And there's so many different ways that you express that. But God here on the phone just wants us to remember that the frequency, that the memory that is being transmitted through this show and through the teachings I share is the constant, that God is the feeling realization of oneness. And that's what this presence of God on the phone right now just wants us to remember. And if God is a knee-jerk reaction word for you to allow yourself to see things differently, perhaps you don't have to do anything you don't want to, of course. But if there's an open space there to redefine it, then this presence of God on the phone with us right now is inviting us to consider that it is the feeling realization of love and only love. And you know what I really love, God, is that last week, yes, this notion, I'm going to make a t-shirt. Totally. No, God, last week, God downloaded, and you're going to love this. If you, Chris, I know you're going to love this. God is a verb. What? I know, because we personify this idea of God. We personify the notion and try to make you in our image, right? And God's like, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying there's another way to see it, and that to consider that God is a verb, which is so powerful. I mean, that just, whew, that's so powerful. Yes, reading. Okay, Course in Miracles, just a few sentences. I would love that. Okay, blessings. God says namaste, everyone. I love you too. Okay, bless. All right, my friends. So we're going to read from A Course in Miracles. If you have your Course in Miracles, it is, let's see, it is the text, and it is page 1. 157. Healing as corrected perception. Okay, so we're just going to dip in. Healing as corrected perception. And again, corrected perception, the probable cause. Oh, digestive problems. Thank you for throwing one out there so we can play with this. I'll look that up in just right after Course in Miracles, Mike. But so probable cause, what's the issue? And then she gives the new thought pattern, the new affirmation to correct the thought pattern, right? Because we understand here that all is mind. I mean, the true truth is that all is love, right? This is the truth, love. This is the story, the collective consciousness, right? The grid matrix of collective consciousness, the mind. When we correct the mind, the experience of our life changes. So I'm going to go in. I said before that the Holy Spirit is the answer. The Holy Spirit is the answer to everything. And now here, what do we teach? We teach that the Holy Spirit is the same as the higher self. And what is the higher self? What is the Holy Spirit? The voice for God, the voice for love, the voice for truth. That which distills the feeling realization of that oneness into the symbols that we use as words. Holy Spirit knows what the answer to everything is. The ego does not know what a real question is, although it asks an endless number. Yet you can learn this as you learn to question the value of the ego and thus establish your ability to evaluate its questions. When the ego tempts you to sickness, do not ask the Holy Spirit to heal the body, for this would merely be to accept the ego's belief that the body is the proper aim of healing. Ask rather that the Holy Spirit teach you the right perception of the body, for perception alone can be distorted. Only perception can be sick because only perception can be wrong. Now boom, now boom. So again, in the notes, we were just saying, when you get a bout of sickness, whatever it is, right? The stubbed toe, the diarrhea, the toothache, the flu, the cold, the something, the cancer even, you know, do you just 3D it and look to heal the topical, the symptoms? Just do whatever it's going to be to take, to take that headache away, to take that pain away, to stop the nasal drip stuff or whatever it might be, stop the cough. And believe me, I understand when you're just hacking it up, you're like, give me a break. Right? But then are we just taking care of those topical systems? Oh, systems. That's right. Yes, symptoms. Or are we willing to go deeper? And that's the heart of the show today, is this invitation to go deeper. When we have the experience of sickness, of unwellness, of illness, of the stubbed toe-ness, of the digestive problem, of whatever it might be, there is something greater of an invitation happening here. And if we would look at it from a 4D perspective, that is from a metaphysical, multidimensional, you are not just a body perspective. You are mind, body, and emotions, right? And always spirit, always. But if we look at those components on a multidimensional level, well, what's going on in the mind, the body, and the emotions? So we're going to keep going here, but first, thank you, Mike. So we're going to just so that you have a sense of how this little book works. It's like $6-7 on Amazon. If it resonates with you, it will just change your life. But I know some people have, they have the neck thing, the shoulder thing, the ankle thing, the toe thing, the da, 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 and they're just looking it up and they're like, they don't want to know. And that's okay too. If you're like, I'm done. I don't need all that. You have to be willing, well, first of all, that kind of work has to resonate with you from a place of sincerity, or else the work will not work. You have to surrender and be willing for what tools that resonate with you, or what authors or what, teachings resonate with you. But if you find something, work it. Work it, work it, work it, and it will work for you in return. So let's see if what even is in here about digestive, you know, because once in a while I have looked things up and they haven't been in here, but I would be surprised. So let's see. Okay, we've got diarrhea. We've even got death. I don't see digestive, but there's got to be something. Stomach. I'm going to look up stomach, okay? And this is what you do. If you don't see the exact thing, then you go for like, what's the next thing? You know, so we'll look up stomach, and then from there, if there's nothing, then we'll look up okay, stomach. Okay, stomach problems, right? Gastritis, heartburn, peptic ulcer, ulcers. The stomach, okay. So on the left, again, the problem. In the middle, the probable cause. And what she says about the stomach is that it holds nourishment. So we're going to go here, even though it doesn't have digestive problems in it. But stomach problems, right? That's where it starts, right? So the stomach holds nourishment and it digests ideas. What I will add to that is that in the gut is where we digest our emotions. And because that's second chakra territory, if that resonates, you know, let it resonate. In the gut is where we digest, especially through the foods we eat, our emotions. So what is held there, right? The probable cause of the issue, the middle row in her book here. What she says is, if there's those problems there, there's dread, fear of the new, and an inability to assimilate the new. Her new thought pattern that she offers you is, life agrees with me. I assimilate the new every moment of every day, all is well. Okay, so that gives you an idea. And I will tell you, there's little ailments and things that I have had. I look it up in the book. Now, especially if you do affirmation in the mirror work, where I've looked something up in that book and I've gone straight to the mirror and I've just said it and just said it straight and like say it like 3 times and repeat it into like the blueprint, the truth of who I am. The next morning, that thing is gone. It's gone. So again, that can vary for all of us. But because you are already perfect, because you are always walking with your perfect holy grail hologram of health, it's always here for us. And again, what we're talking about today is learning how to reinvigorate, recalibrate our thoughts and our words and our mind so that the emotions can be healed through the work that we do here. So again, when that ailment, when that thing, that repetitive, that chronic, that whatever it is, you know, are we just taking the meds on it? And that's fine. That's good. We all need relief, you know, yet are we willing to go deeper? Our 3D ailments come with the package of having a body. Like, even if you've generally got good health, you know, you've never broken a bone, you've never been seriously injured, there just may be a bout of diarrhea upon visiting Peru. You know, you might stub a toe or get pink eye at some point, you know, maybe herpes or genital warts, you know, maybe not. Doesn't ever have to happen. None of those things ever have to happen. But even if you've never had a serious ailment that like puts you in the hospital or, you know, whatnot, puts you in bed for 2 to 4 weeks, there might be a little something that will invite you to pay attention to your healing path, to your healing process. So Mike says that resonated for sure. Dread and fear of the new have been fairly consistent challenges for me in my life. Oh, so I'm grateful. I'm glad that our little dip in to Louise Hay's book, you Heal Your Body, that it can serve you. And you know, I think if you get fancy and Google enough around, there's either parts of that book or excerpts, you know, so that you can look things up online, the metaphysical meaning, you know, but specific to Louise Hay, she's the queen. I say go with her. So sickness is a huge initiation, right? Because this is where we learn. This is where we learn. If we would learn, this is where we learn. We learn through healing ourselves, right? Self-care, self-love, through forgiveness, through surrendering. Sickness offers this beautiful package of intense initiation, if we look at it that way. And remember, however you look at whatever you look at is what it's going to give you. So you don't have to look at this in any way, shape, or form at all. You could just, take the flu medicine and then get back to work and get back to drinking like I did for many years. I know some of you are aware that I'm putting I have one of my next offerings. I'm always working on several projects, but there's an old set of tapes called Treasure Enlightenment that is going to be a book on Audible that comes. It's the story before this one, before the Reiki Apprentice and those adventures. And it's so funny because there's a whole thing where I'm just very cool and casually talking about how I just got over this awful cold, taking a whole round of antibiotics, and how like the next day, right after the anti-Bs are done, I'm back at we used to always go to Don Cuco's, this Mexican restaurant in Studio City, and like get ripped on margaritas. But that's just how I lived. And this was 1997, long time ago, but still that was my 20s. So that said, when we get sick, or when there's a disruption, when there's an ailment, there's an invitation to heal on a multidimensional level. There's an invitation to consider, who do you have to forgive? There's an invitation to, where can you surrender in your life so that this healing can take place? And I remember, I've said this before, many years I was a masseuse. And there's a thing that the masseuses say, and where you're working on someone and you're like, oh, there's that nugget, there's that little ball of joy in there that's really not, that's causing the person receiving like crucial pain, and they're like, get it, dig in there, dig in it, you're working on it. But it's this question where you say, if it's appropriate with the client, where you're like, well, whose name is on it? What so consider that stub toe, that stomach thing, or that headache, or the whatever, like whose name is on it. And maybe it's not a person, but perhaps who or what comes up, like without thinking about it, but just boom, your intuition. What does your higher self show you when you're in consideration of that ailment or that aspect? And it's just interesting, because is that person, that place, or that thing, that event, that past, whatever it is, an aspect that requires your healing? And if so, then you start to, say your prayers, do your journaling, do your work, ask higher self, Holy Spirit, whatever name you would give it, show me how to work with this. And maybe you're guided to get a book like this. Maybe you're guided to read something else, or to do a certain meditation, or to see a certain healer, or to drink a certain juice or a tea, or, or all of it. So each sickness is an opportunity, if you would have it, to match the outside with the inside. So now we're going to start to think about this in this multidimensional way. To match the outside with the inside. So to match your brain synapses and all the nerve signals, all the pathways. And remember, last week we did frontal lobe blackout for my YouTubers. And I know some of you come back, you can't do the live, and so you watch it later. I'm going to come back and put links up top. I think they go over there on the YouTube screen. So if you missed last week's frontal lobe blackout, it was a hoot. I had a lot of fun breaking that one down. So anyway, there'll be links up there later. You can go check those out. But so your brain synapses and all of the nerve signals and all the pathways, the patterns that are reflected in you, in your physical body, in your chemistry, in your brain, boop, 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 right? In the circuitry of who you are, right? It must be reflected in the grid. The patterns must be reflected in the grid. And furthermore, the patterns for true healing must match the truth in your heart. And every time we get sick, every time we're taken off balance, every time there's that ailment that keeps coming up, or that something, It's an invitation to pay attention to where are my thoughts and my word and my heart not matching? Where is there something off? Because the grid is always going to match your mind and your mouth. That's what makes the grid, the grid. So it's always going to match that. And what's going to match that? The synaptical, the beautiful orchestra of you being you. Brain, central nervous system, boop, 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 the way things are wired and the way that they fire together mentally, emotionally, the chemicals that are released in your body. And so when we have that sickness or that ailment and we're like, okay, let me do the work here. Let me pay attention. Something is not in sync. As above is not being so below. Blessings, breath, flow, thrive. I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here, sister. I can see better. Bye-bye, 99-cent store glasses. It's a gift, right? To be able to see. It really is. And so as above, so below. And when there's that illness, that ailment, that sickness, that something, right? Then we're being invited to consider that something's not matching up. As above is not being as a below right now. Lucy, you got some explaining to do. So we get to think about it and meditate on it and journal about it. Or sometimes you just know. Like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, for instance, I'm going to put this in a bubble of light, but I had a Reiki client who knows that the relationship that she was in is not one, it's a romantic one, is not one that she would want to really be in. Like, she likes him, but she doesn't love him. And she sees more things in her, for her life. She's ready to grow and move on and, you know, do this whole thing. But she's living with him. They're sharing space, and they're both, everyone's getting something out of it. And he maybe loves her more than she does, but she's not into it the way he is, but they're kind of helping each other out. And it's kind of, it's helping this situation where she is right now to live with him, even though, so it's like that, right? So the thing is, though, is that she removed herself from him to take retreat for herself, to have reflection, to be in consideration of the situation. And a part of that is that she came to see me for Reiki. Over that period of time, I saw her for a couple days in a row with treatments. And over that time, she developed styes on her eyes, little bubbles, you know, little styes on her eyelids and stuff. And what I offer is that while she was set in the jello of that situation with that partner, living in a way that, you know, it wasn't harming her. He wasn't a mean or violent person or dangerous situation, but it wasn't her truth. She was not living in her powerful, sovereign truth. Yet as long as she was enmeshed in that situation, she had to just hustle and be with that situation. And see it for what, see it as best as she could in it. And the moment she came out, she went on retreat and she started seeing me and did her thing, getting that perspective. Then she was seeing stuff in a different way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because she wasn't there. And then there came the cysts on the eyes, because it's like what had been suppressed. And often we do this with stress, right? With things when they're like, but we're like, I got to just make this work. And then we like hammer ourselves through. And it's only then when we have the vacation, we get the rest, we do the healing or something, that then, you know, and the tar body, you know, the tars, they need a place to go. And so for her, it was coming out in this way where she had finally removed herself. She could see things clearly. She was allowing herself to be honest with herself, to see things in a way that she wasn't allowing herself to see, because she just needed to suck it up, to just honor where it was, what it is for what it was, while she's in it. And the moment she removed herself, bloop, you know, the truth, she sees the truth. So as above was not as belowing. The point of that was all of that, okay? So each sickness is an opportunity, right, if you would have it be so, to match the outside with the inside. Is your brain, is your central nervous system, is the circuitry of how you are wiring your mind and your emotions through your conscious thought, word, and even are you getting in there on the subconscious level? You can. Is that matching the truth in your heart? Because it's all going to match. Whatever you do here, mind and mouth, is going to be reflected in the grid. And so you're going to get more of that. Yet it's not going to be in sync, and you will not be in your full power and authority as long as it's not in sync. Sure, you might run on several volts, but you're not going to be at peace. So we have that opportunity, and it's accessing your ability. So when we have these situations, when we are going through these situations, these healings, these ailments, and we're paying attention and we're like, you know what, I'm going to do this work. I'm going to do this work in the 3D and the 4D. I'm going to get down, right? So you begin to access your ability to rewrite and so rewire the patterning so that the truth in your heart matches what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're activating on an atomic level as your reality, even before it happens, right? In science, we know, or maybe we don't know. And what do I know? But there's this idea that, like, when they do those little like experiments where there's two people and they're on either side of the booth, psychic telepathy, like the person can pick up what, like, okay, so one person is on one side of the booth. They can't see the other person, but they both know that they're in the experiment. Blessings, Buzz. Thank you for joining, bro. I appreciate it. So they're both doing this experiment, and say the person on one side is supposed to read the other person's mind, right? And one person has like 4 cards, and the person's going to turn over, say there's a heart, a star, and a square and a triangle. And the person on the one side turns over the heart card, right? So many experiments have shown that the person on the other side that has no idea what's on those cards can psychically know what card that person is going to pick up or turn over before they've even done it, and know which one it's going to be. So things are already happening. It's already happening. That's why when we really, really get it, that our word and our thought are powerful and potent medicines, right? We can activate them for the highest good of all, for our peaceful, joyous journey, and to be a conscious co-creator in the name of love and light, but also in the name of our wellness and our healing. So, accessing your ability to rewrite and to rewire that patterning, whether it's a physical ailment, a mental and emotional sickness, depression, ongoing anxiety, panic attacks, all of it, all of it. So let's look at this. Sickness in the 3D, right? If you were just joining us, we were talking about how when we get an ailment, a sickness, a stubbed toe, a serious diagnosis from the doctor, say, do we just look at it in the 3D? Are we just looking at it like, okay, let me just give me the medicine, let me just take care of this cold, or let me just take care of this thing so I can get back to work? Like, are we just taking care of that topical aspect, the symptoms? Going into the 4D, going into the multidimensionality, the metaphysics of it, and looking at the layers, the metaphysics of the mind, not only the body, but the emotions too, and see, are they matching with spirit? And I see here on YouTube, there's a little spinning wheel. So thank you for your patience. And I know now I'm getting the reminder here on Insta that we're going to be closing down in about 20 seconds. Right away, I'm going to go back on live. So if you are interested, we still have, I mean, we're going to probably do another hour. So if not, come back later. I love you, and I'm so grateful. If you need to split, otherwise it's going to end. I'm going to share it, and we're going to get right back on with my Insta fam. So thank you for your patience, my YouTubers. Just give me 1 second here. We're going to get right back in the game. Okay. All right. So we're going to get right back in here. So we're talking about the difference, right? I almost want to wait for them to hop back on. But what we're doing is we're talking about, like, what is the difference between just 3Ding a sickness and really spiritualizing, spiritualizing that sickness. Thank you for hopping on, InstaFam. I appreciate you coming back for round 2. Spiritualizing it. So sickness in the 3D is, why is this happening to me? Right? Victim mode. And maybe it's not all the time like that, but I know for me, that has been an experience for me, right? We go into the victim mode of like, this fucking thing, I can't, give me more tissues, I need drugs, I need whatever to get through this. And that's just 3D, and we're just symptoming it. Sickness in the 4D is, okay, let me use this. What is going on? What is coming up? What is coming up for me with this stubbed toe, with this stomach ailment, with these ongoing migraines or headaches or whatever it is? And sometimes it's like, you just are not supposed to be eating mayonnaise. Like, I had a best friend for years, and her thing, she didn't even know it. And I don't know if she ever did the work and if there was some deep spiritual whatever aspect about the mayonnaise and what it triggered in her. But as soon as she stopped eating mayonnaise, she never had a migraine again. And so it's just this, sometimes it's just simple stuff like paying attention. And perhaps that was a part of her lesson of, like, maybe there was a feeling that every time she went for the mayo, she might have had like a weird feeling, but maybe wasn't honoring it or paying attention to it until it finally all added up, and where she's like, I'm just not supposed to eat mayo. And then she was able to get on with life without those migraines. So sometimes it's very simple fix, right? Sometimes it's more complex. So sickness in the 4D, okay, what's going on? Let me use this. What's coming up for me? Oh, it's my lungs. Let me look at that. Oh, it's my stomach. Oh, it's my teeth, right? So if we're looking at it from 4D, if we're spiritualizing the sickness, we're getting in there metaphysically, multidimensionally, right? What does lungs represent? Or what does stomach represent? What does teeth represent? We start to become that metaphysical detective working on our own behalf. Right? What does it metaphysically pertain to? The stomachs, the lung, the teeth, the cancer, the headache, the whatever it is, and what does it pertain to in healing? And how is this reflected? How is this reflected in my energy being blocked at this time? These are questions we get to start considering and asking ourselves if we really are willing to go deeper into a sickness, into an ailment, rather than just treating the top, treating the symptom aspect of it. What we can ask, what is this ailment? What are the lessons here for me? What is it related to for me in my life? Anxiety, fear, depression, because we're talking sickness. And I know I keep saying things like stomach or, stubbing your toe or a headache or, ailments like that. Yet we do know, and we will not leave it out of the conversation, mental illness, mental sickness, emotional illness and sickness as well. So what are its lessons for me? What is it that's reflected for me in my life now with this coming up, right? What does it mean to me? And what feelings are coming up for me when I really sit deeply with this? When you really sit deeply with what that ailment is. Again, whose name is on it? Like in those massage days. Whose name is on it? What event maybe from the past. And again, if you don't get anything, you don't get anything. You just rest. You do your best. You take care of yourself. It's always sickness is always an invitation to practice greater self-love, right? And greater self-care, to know thyself, which is very powerful. So, but this is the juice, these questions, right? What does this ailment represent? What's going on here? How does it relate to my life? What is it triggering me? What is it making me pay attention to? That's the juice. That's the nectar. That's what you want to work on. The answers to those questions are what you get to work with. That's your metaphysical medicine right there. That's the work. And that's what you work with. And that is your freedom, your medicine. That is how you shift into alternate realities, because the wisdom is within you already. What is that saying? That the treatment for the poison is always like right next to it. Like there's something about There's something about wild herbs, right? And being out in nature, and that you can get stung by a nettle, yet if you look close by, there's the thing, the twig or the leaf or the cactus juice or whatever it is that takes the nettle sting away is always going to be within reach from where the said poison is, if you will. And like that, right? The moment there's a seeming problem, whether it's a sickness, an ailment, a mental issue in illness and whatnot, the resolution is already there. And eventually we learn that there are no problems. But while we're in it, sometimes we're like, I got some problems. I got some problems I need to take care of. Right? And they're all lessons of learning, levels of learning. But the answer, the solution, the medicine, it's already there. And so when you ask yourself these questions and you allow yourself to 4D a sickness and go in deeper than just the surface of taking care of the symptoms, you know, that's when you really start to get to work. And again, sometimes, I mean, I'm going to just share this, but I've known women who, I'm going to put this in a big bubble of light. And I say this with respect for men and women, but I've worked with women and I know women who have, I'm going to do my best to speak in light. But this is just an example of how we do life sometimes unconsciously. And it's just pattern, right? It's just, we're just in those grids until we're out of them. Let's just paint a scenario. There's a woman who's been with a man for over 10 years. She loves him, he loves her, but she really doesn't want to live with him. And she actually knew, like after 2 or 3 years of living with him, that she really didn't want to live with him. They love each other. They have a good relationship. They're very compatible. You know, it's good generally. Yet she's like, I really don't want to live with him. I really need my independence. I'm going to be my own person. I can still be in a relationship with this person, but da da da. So say there's that, right? Yet now there's 10 years. They're 10 years in. And over those 10 years, those 7 years after the first good 2 or 3 years, she starts creating a resistance towards him because she really doesn't want to be there that much, that often in the presence, in that relationship, in that way. But it is what it is. The rent is cheaper, you know, whatever all the reasons are that we give ourselves to not have what the truth in our heart is. You know, those things start building up, and then a resentment starts building up. And then the level of sex, of good, hot sex and romance and intimacy stops happening. Because on a subconscious level, she's doesn't want to fucking be there all the time with him, but she's not allowing herself to be honest and true with herself. And again, you know, I'm saying this with respect and in a bubble of light and with lots of love. I'm just giving an example. And what happens is, and this, it's a story, okay? So the years go by and all the good, fun, hot sex stuff and the romantic intimacy, juicy, you know, lovery stuff, you know, it starts fading and fading and fading and fading. He still wants sex. She wants sex less, to the degree where there's so much resentment. And now it's really built, because now we're a good few years in. And now it's really starting to build. And even though she loves him and he loves her and they're good people, and it's like, there's really no reason, no seeming reason in the 3D why she should move, because they share the rent. She's got more money at the end of the weekday. They share the car insurance, you know, the internet, you know, 3D. In the 3D, it's looking great because there's more money. Yep. What about here? What's going on in here in the 4D, in the heart, in the Christ, in the true consciousness area? It's not being listened to. It's not being honored. And meanwhile, the relationship continues. He keeps wanting sex. She's so done with being around him all the time, because it's only a 1-bedroom and there's no other room to go into except the bedroom if you want privacy. And she's, from the get-go, she's known after the first 2 or 3 years that she wants to be independent. And then so starts to develop a cervical situation. in her reproductive organs, in her vagina, which really gives a good reason not to be intimate. So you see where I'm going. And again, I say all that with love and with light, with love and with light, with love and with light. Yet sickness and ailments and these kinds of things, there's often sub complex levels and reasons of how and why these situations happen. And to the degree that we are guided and that we will go on that journey and do that work, you know, otherwise we may never know. And we'll just wonder, you know, why, again, the 3D victim, like, why do I have this ailment? Why me? And why? And I don't understand, you know, and maybe I'm projecting that might be someone's projection about an ailment in that way. Yet as well, just painting that story that these things can be very complex. The healing component can be very complex. Patterns, sickness, working with the energies. When you get sick, your body is saying a new pattern wants to get in there. When you get sick, your body is saying, a new pattern wants to get in here. Not just in the body though, in the mind and the emotions too. So I'm going to give you an example from me. As you know, if you follow me, if you subscribe to my website and you get my love letter and you watch my videos on YouTube and all that stuff, I'm very open, right? Very honest with you about me, and it's all in here, right? Too. So again, this last month, I've had massive healing, dredged up all sorts of past life. I mean, grief and fear and pain and all sorts of stuff that was just ready to be completed. Again, why? So that I can be clear and have, so that my vibration can really match the project that I'm being guided by God to allow, to manifest, to be a part of creating through me with the Grid Mind Science film. And so there's all this clearing that's been happening. And while it was happening, because it was very lung related, and as you know, if you know me, I've been smoking over 30 years. For a huge chunk of my life, I smoked like a trucker. Is that even a thing? I don't know. Sorry, truckers. I mean, I puffed. And as well, marijuana as well as tobacco. So you got the double smoky thing in the lung. And anyway, so this recent the situation that I had all last month was doing a lot of lung healing of the stuff in the lungs, the memory in the lungs, the emotions in the lungs. And higher self came in and has been resetting patterns with me. You know, right? If you know me and you watch these things, you follow my journey with the alcohol, that's been a thing. And now the tobacco, right? So higher self came in and was like, yeah, you're not going to smoke right now. And I'm like, obviously not. Like my lung coughing up. Like, I was just like, obviously not. I didn't have the desire to. And I was like, I'm happy to take a break. Of course, I'm not even going to be, I don't have no craving. And then higher self was like, yeah. And when you get through this healing, what we want you to do while you're in it is to allow and to like run the energies that you will create a new pattern with yourself and tobacco. And initially the higher self was not saying like, and you're going to stop smoking everything right now, forever and ever and ever. But higher self was saying like, you know, be open to being repatterned, because even though I used to be a heavy smoker of all things for a huge part of my life, now well, not now, but in the recent past, for many years, I had my daily or my evening sagerette with my cup of tea. And if it was the holidays and I was with the Irish and we were drinking, I'd roll a few extra, you know, I'd smoke a few more. But generally, I'd have my one a day. And even that's not a lot. Yet higher self was like, okay, be prepared for that to get changed, because this is resetting this lung. And we're going to talk about crystalline tube and the lungs as well. This is resetting, and just be an allowance for a whole new pattern to happen where you're not going to smoke your nightly sagerette. And I was like, oh my God, like blow my mind, because that's like such an ingrained pattern with me that I didn't really even think about it. And I would bless, and it was very ritual and stuff, but even still, higher self was like, yeah, with all the ritual and ceremony, still cut it out. Just allow this to be renewed. Okay, fine. So then I said, okay, And then, like, you know, deeper into the sickness and into the healing of it all, then there's this, then higher self comes in and was like, okay, and now we were going to ask you to give up smoking tobacco, cigarettes completely. And I was like, fuck, you know, because they did this with the alcohol with me. And I was like, ah, I was like, man, are you serious? You know, I could feel my tar body and my resistance like, you're taking this thing away from me that I really like. You know, I was all attached. Yet acknowledging and knowing, though, that this is an opportunity, this sickness, this clearing. Because I feel that what happened is that I got cleared out, like zeroed out. My gut and my lungs got zeroed out to the degree that they were able to zero out the memory of fear, of pain, of grief, of all that stuff that had been holding as cellular memory in these organs and in these tissues. So I'm aware on the 4D, I'm aware metaphysically, multidimensionally, that this is an opportunity. So I say, you know what? Okay, I'm totally open, knowing while I'm saying this to higher self and God, and what, you know, everyone is, all my angels as my witnesses, knowing that I'm going, like, to have that kind of willpower, but also knowing that there's the power of the Most High that carries you when the vortex is open and you say yes, and just knowing that it's a part of the practice. So I'm telling you this story because as you are invited if your higher self talks to you in that same way, and you're invited to make those repattern changes during an illness, during a bout of sickness, during an ailment, when that toe is stubbed and you got that ice on it and you're like, okay, let me look at this, whatever it is. What happens is that your willingness to just say yes to that invitation gives the right of way for a whole new neural network working, for a whole new grittery to be established in your patterning that otherwise would not be allowed to, right, through your neural network, your circuitry, through the grittery of the grid matrix of collective consciousness, that otherwise would not be given the right of way to happen, right? If you said, nope, I'm sticking with my pattern of my one cigarette a day, you can go away, higher self. Right? But if even just your willingness to say yes says, okay, and then all those energies, then things are allowed to repattern for your highest good. So I'm inviting you to be in consideration of that if all this stuff resonates. And if you're doing the work on that level, that it just might, your higher self just might tap your shoulder when you're going through something and you're like, and your higher self might say, yeah, you're going to start to not take sugar in your coffee. And you'll be like, shit, I really like sugar in my coffee. And then you're like, okay. And then the next week, higher self will be like, and now you're going to totally give up sugar altogether. And you'll be like, what? Like higher self almost tricks you in a good way, but you know, it kind of eases you in and then it like hits you, but also no, you know, and again, then higher self came back around and was like, okay, here's the deal, kid. We needed to allow that to activate those energies. So for your healing to go to the nth degree that it could go exponentially through all time, space, and dimensions of you just saying, okay, I give up smokes, I give up tobacco, cigarettes, all that stuff, for that allowed that energy to clear and to cleanse and to move through all those dimensions, through all time, space, so everywhere that I've ever existed, all the tissues, all the cells, and then come back again in the name of white light for that boom, that new reset. And now higher self is like, okay, now there's a new pattern and now there's an agreement. And there isn't even, although funny, I did have a craving the other day, but then you get to exercise your will, your third chakra, your I amness in it. But now it's become a thing where it's like only on the weekends, have one or two, which is very different from 7 days a week. And so there's this repatterning, but it also has to do a lot with this raising of the vibration and the frequencies. We're going to talk more about all that stuff later. So that little story to illumine you as your path opens. So when you get sick, your body is saying a new pattern wants to get in there: mind, body, and emotions. I gave you an example of me with the tobacco and listening to the body, listening to the wisdom of your higher self, right? Because first they said, cut down. And then they invited me to give it up altogether. They, I mean the higher self, the crew of God, the voice for God, right? And same thing with the alcohol. That's how they got in, and they did that with me, right? And now I don't drink, but I do, but I don't. I mean, I used to drink every single day, and now I drink minimally. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm like, I hear myself saying, yeah, I don't really drink. I don't drink. And just as many smokes as I smoked over all the years. Oh, blessings. Hi, welcome on Instagram. And thanks for the comment on YouTube. I'm so grateful that if this resonates with you, because it's a big deal. You know, these patterns and this sickness and these healings and these ailments and these initiations to higher frequency, to fourth dimensional consciousness. It's a massive healing. But I used to drink and smoke, I mean, like nobody's business, right? And so there's been a lot of healing. But again, as your vibration raises, and again, if you watch on YouTube, my Grid Mind Science Log 1, where I'm breaking down real deep truths. I'm telling you things about my life that's not in a book yet, that I have not shared, and these are things that have come up to be uprooted and healed for that new resonance and vibration, that truth in my heart to match the vision that God has given me. So I don't have to be dragged through it, so that I can gracefully be carried, and things, all good, can be added unto the process. And the same goes for you, okay? So I recognized, again, I had to say okay to giving up alcohol, to giving up smokes, even though I still have, you know, now I'm having like, you know, the weekend sagerette or two, you know, every 6 weeks or so, I'll have a little hot sake or maybe a Guinness, or, you know, if the occasion calls, you know, it's like, but if it doesn't happen, it's like, it doesn't matter. My whole life though, used to revolve around weed, tobacco, and alcohol. Just saying, things can change. And under grace, under grace, under grace, under grace. So again, I recognized that I had to just say, okay, to letting these things go, these patterns go, when higher self invited that in, even though I didn't know if I could truly live up to that agreement, right? The question came with it. And with that question, the opportunity to say yes to a new configuration, so that new configuration could take place, the new pattern, the new brain, the new chemicals, the new emotional set points, the new version of me that is lit up, that has a stronger will. And then how that affects every part of my life, how that will affect every part of your life, right? And that is powerful. Intuitive listeners listen. That's funny. I have made that note at the bottom of that. Intuitive listeners listen. Now, some of you know, I have some clients that I work with watch these shows, and there's a there's a practice. How much more do we have? Yeah, we've only got 2 more pages. We'll definitely be done by the end of the hour. But there's a practice that I have been gifted, as all the teachings are. They come through meditation. Like everything that I teach comes through meditation. You know, given and granted the teachings from my teacher that I apprenticed with. That's like the root, right? The base of a lot of it. But my journey began as a youth, you know. So anyway, that aside, all of our spiritual journeys really have no end and no beginning. And that's the good news. The good news. What is the point, darling? I don't even know. I'm high on God, by the way. So in another book that I'm writing right now, you know, last week I spoke about the sacred secretion, talked about the Kundalini, the drip from the pineal gland. We're going beyond the Merkaba. Merkaba is so important, but we're going into Taurus activation. Anyway, all this is going into this book that I'm writing. But what's happening is that now that these layers of these fears and these pains and these griefs and these the addictions and the patterns that would have me otherwise wired in a certain direction with the grids, you know, and now those are gone. And so there's less of me here. I often talk about dropping the atoms. And so there's less of me here. There's more love in that place, right? More God channeling through. And when you get the calibration of the drip and the Kundalini, I mean, you're high. This is the longest I've been high on God. And it's what it feels like is, if you've ever taken ecstasy, it's that first like 10, 20 minutes where you're like, oh, here it comes. Oh, here it comes. Oh, here it comes. But it's constant. And there were like, today's the first day since Friday where I'm like, okay, today, now I could probably operate heavy machinery without hurting myself. But like for days before that, I've been at the gym with the BFF and I'm like, you gotta look out for me, dude, because I'm like, there's certain things where I just can't do it because I don't have the balance. Everything is still frontal lobe blackouting and resetting. Side note, and I know that there was something there that I was going to say, and I think it had to do with you. Oh, thank you. Yes, it did have to do with you. So there's a beautiful teaching that there's 3 teachings that I'm looking to put online as little online coursey things, you know. And one of them is called 30 by 3 by 30. And what I was saying, thank you, Higher Self, for reminding me, is that I know there's a couple of my clients and students and stuff that watch these shows. And I think one of you is here right now who's actually using 30 by 3 by 30. And what it is it's when it's time to rewire and repattern. And you're ready to do the work multidimensionally, metaphysically, and you're ready to get in there and rewire. Then you create 30 affirmations. You say them in the mirror 3 times a day for 30 days. Boom. That's the medicine, right? That's just it in a nutshell. Well, that's a very, very, very powerful tool that I've used several times over, that I offer to clients and students as it's guided. And so just that idea for sickness and spirituality, our topic today, if and when you find yourself in that realm of the ailment, in that realm of like, okay, here's this thing again, here's this migraine again, or here's this back thing again, that's making me not able to go to yoga practice, or that's inhibiting my ability to go to work, or whatever it might be, or to make love. You know, make sweet love. I can't do it because of my back. It's like, well, what's that about? Let's pay attention. Let's pay attention. And you're ready to do the work. That's when the vortex is open. That's when you get to work. That's when you rewrite the pattern and reset the wiring so that as above, so below. So that your inner circuitry, your brain, synapses, circuitry, is in alignment with the grid, so that you're speaking the same language, and always that it matches the truth in your heart. That's the real mojo right there. But as you do this work, right, you might write one affirmation and use it for 5 days, and then you're going, you know what, actually, I can distill that and make that even more succinct. That's actually not what I meant to say. Let me rewrite, let me erase that and rewrite that. So you hone and you fine tune matching your truth. And when you match the truth in your heart, you are unfuckable with, because the truth in your heart matches God. Drop the mic, right? And what is God but love? Love without an opposite. So when we consciously walk the path of truth, which means developing a conversation with God, that is not just when you need help paying the rent, right? Like, God, I need help. I need $500 ASAP. Can you wire me that cash, dude? You know, or lady, or whoever. If you personify God with genitals, if you speak in that way, right? When you're consciously walking that path of truth, though, it's beyond just asking for something, for help when you think you need it, right? It's a daily conversation that you develop with God. It's your daily prayers, your daily meditations. It's continually creating the correct condition so that you can hear the voice for God, so that you're like, breaker, breaker, this is your higher self. This is your higher self calling in. And you're like, I hear you. I hear you. Break it down. What's the message for today? You know, there's no like you're trying to dial it in. But that's, you know, sometimes it can be like that when there's the ailments, or when there's, you know, the constant drugs, or the psychosis, or the depression, or the anxiety, you know. And so we're learning how to be mindful, how to recognize these things, so that we can master our time and space and heal these aspects within ourselves, to come back to love, come back to oneness, the oneness that is God, right? The oneness that is you living heaven on earth, that is you just being peace, yo. Trusting, relaxing. So we are shape-shifting out of old paradigms that we realize are no longer serving us. We are filling the gaps and creating new pathways with our minds and tongues, right? By rewriting new patterns, new thought patterns, right? And when the words match the thoughts, and those match your heart, your truth, that's when heaven on earth activates. That's when heaven on earth is given the right of way through your body temple, through the multidimensionality of who you are, of what you are, because you are allowing it, you are making it so. And that's all we do here. This is what this show is about, 4D Trinity. 4D speaks to fourth dimensional consciousness, which speaks to you, the truth in your heartness, the Christ consciousness, the version of you that knows how to love and be loved unconditionally, part of you that knows how to not judge and pardon, part of you that knows how to step out of the way and let love rule over your body, over your mind, over your emotions. Part of you that knows how to let go of control and trust that everything is perfect just as it is right now. And that love is the truth. And anything that is not love is a part of the illusion, is a part of the matrix. And we do teach that there's love and fear in there, in the binary, in the grid matrix of collective consciousness. We know there's both values here. But where we're invited in the teachings I share is the trinary, is where there's love, there's fear, but there's also this value of love and only love. Love and only love, the truth in your heart. So when we align our mind and our mouth and speak in tandem with that truth, respectively, that's what grounds us. That's what grounds the body temple, right? It grounds us to this plane in a way that is not anchored by the gravity of the grids, not anchored by the elusive fear-based, pain-based, the past time and space-ness-based version of you, right? But rather that version of you that is grounded in the now, in the NOWOSPHERE. When we speak truth, when you speak your truth, you honor it, you give rise to the atomic structuring, the activation of that truth in your field of experience on this world, you create heaven on earth. You create the correct conditions for it to be so, for the highest good of all. So think about it. When you're sick, your mind, your body, your emotional bodies. So this is so interesting. I love this idea that, again, came through spirit in meditation. So we're thinking about all the auras, right? The layers of the aura, right? And we have, and I always keep it basic, mind, body, and emotions, right? Spirit is. And then we have these containers, these different values, mind, body, and emotions. So they're usually all like kind of set, laying like little, what do you call them? Like layers, right? Enmeshed and over one another. When we get sick, they throng out, they separate, they open up. That's when the vortex is open. So they separate, and you're not in your body, right? Often when you feel sick, there's a sense of like, ooh, I'm feeling queasy, or you're out of your body. You're out of your body. And so in this, okay, let me just read these notes. You are not in your body in the same daily way. It's like the vaults have been opened, and what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do, right? You have been granted entryway. You can work with the energies while the gateways are open, right? Because they're going to close again. And then when they close, you'll be running on whatever the same or the old patterns were or have been from the past. So that's why sickness and spirituality, are we going to 3D this shit? Are we just going to take the meds and get over the cold and get on with life? Or are we going to be like, okay, no, let me pay attention to this illness, to this ailment, to this situation that my body is talking to me here. There's something deeper. I'm a multidimensional being. Let me honor that and look deeper at what's going on. And let me work with this as I'm guided by my higher self, as I'm guided by spirit. Because, so we imagine those 3 layers of the body, we get sick, boom, the gateway's open. And it's like, oh shit, we can get in there. Ooh, okay. And then we can meditate, we can pray, we can journal, we can ask, you know, what am I supposed to see here? What is this ailment showing me? What is whose name is on this thing, this pinched nerve in my back? What event has got me hung up like this? What's in there? Layers and layers. And maybe there's baby steps. Maybe there's a big poof healing, you know, that happens. Are we willing to do the work, right? Because again, that vortex is open. And that's when everything is very malleable. It's very penetrable. The energy is saying, work with me, darling, work with me. Your set points are going, like they're not in the same stuckness place that they've been in when you get sick. So that's why it's an opportunity. If you're going to 4D it, if you're going to work with it metaphysically as the metaphysician, as the healer that you are, right? It's a great opportunity to do so. So let's keep going. Okay, so you can work with the energies while the gateways are open. right? And put new patterns in there. That's our rewiring. That's our new affirmations, right? Of health, of healing, of wellness, of whatever, or of the situation, the person, the event, of the releasing and the forgiving, the blessing of the past, and, you know, allowing this healing to allow it to resolve and to have a completion for the highest good, and, you know, whatever your guidance is. And let's talk for a moment again. We just talked about it, but about grounding versus anchoring. Grounding versus anchoring. So grounding is nowing in the knowing that love is the truth. Grounding is levity. And isn't that interesting? When we are grounded in truth, when you ground, when you allow yourself to speak your truth, to think your truth, to embody it, which is embodying it. That's you're speaking and thinking of your truth that is rooted in love, that you know what is the authentic, integral you giving rise to the calibration of that through your mind and through your word, both grounds you and levitates you at the same time. It gives rise to the correct conditions for your energy to be deeply grounded in the now moment. And that's the only time there is. if we put now in with the time, but just so you understand, right? Past, present. Wait, past, well, because even the present is time. So no, we're not going to put now in with time, because now is not of time. Past, present, future. These are all time. This is all timeline stuff, which is very handy and important to get to know our way about, and how to master our time and space, right? In this 3D realm of this grid matrix of collective consciousness that we find ourselves in the world. Yet as we master our time and space, the tip of the tongue and the thoughts in the mind, we release by way of thought, by way of word, the momentum of past, the momentum of future, and the anchoring, which is different from grounding, the anchoring of the present. The present is still a gift, and we're getting closer when we get into the present tense, yet it's not the full now yet. The full now is the knowing. And remember, the word now is in the word knowing. Love that. I'm going to get another t-shirt made of that too. So grounding is nowing in the knowing, and nowing in the knowing is knowing that love is the truth. Grounding is levity, is authority. When you speak your truth of your heart, of your mind, right? Again, right, we're talking about sickness and spirituality. It's there for that ailment, that thing, that situation, that cancer even is there for a reason. It's saying, like, pay attention. You know, what is deep here that is asking for you to namaste, to take a look in that direction and acknowledge it, right? There is such authority when you speak from your truth in your heart. You're giving the right of way to your authentic self to live heaven on earth. Really, it's that simple. So, unbound by fear, what is sickness? Fear saying, alchemate me. So what is sickness? Sickness is fear saying, alchemate me. Alchemate me. And again, if you are just joining me, or you're unaware that on my website, link is at the first page of my the main page thingy at the Instagram, and the link is down below at the show more box here on YouTube. First page of my website, tuesdaymaythomas.com. It's just my whole name. You can subscribe for my monthly love letter at my website, which is my monthly newsletter. If you're a first-time subscriber, you get a copy of my book, mini ebook, The Higher Self, Blueprint of Mastery. And then every month I send out a love letter with my blog and things that you get, that only you get when you subscribe to my website. So if you have not done so and you're digging the messages, you like the vibes, there's all sorts of free goodies that I always send out. This month there's a free download for a Power Affirmations MP3. So speaking of rewriting and rewiring ourselves for the highest good, you can listen, and if you like it, you can download, you can use it. And there's also an article I had published on conscious alchemy. So speaking of this, the way of alchemy, right? And that is the title of this recent love letter that went out. So I'm so grateful for the community that is guided to join. Blessings, Will. Thank you for joining. So when you rewrite the script, right, this gives rise to you releasing those stories, those memories, those paradigms And this gives rise to your DNA shifting. I was at what do you even call it? A presentation with Deepak Chopra last year. And, you know, just, I mean, the dude is the dude, right? But he was just even saying, like, that every thought we think affects the DNA, and that we can change our DNA with every thought we think. And I'm like, okay, that resonates. I feel that, right? Does that resonate with you? It's like, oh, yes, yes. So thinking about this, right? When you rewrite the script, you're sick. The three bodies, the gateways are open. The vortex is open. Your energies are even more malleable. You know, like when they say the super moon or the full moon or something, and the veils are lifting and you can contact the dead, or the, whatever all those things are. It's that same shit when you get sick. Boom, those bodies open up and you can get in there and get to work. When you rewrite the script, right, with those affirmations, those new passages, those forgivenesses, those prayers, those blessings, whatever, the new information, this gives rise to you releasing the old stories that have anchored you in that sickness, that illness, that repetitive ailment, whatever it might be, because you're unearthing the memories, those paradigms that your DNA are replicating. So your DNA and your RNA, when you rewrite the story, when you rewrite the script, the pattern, right, for your highest good, as you're guided, you don't have to do any of this. Keep drinking and smoking. You know, I did for years, you know, and that came out weird. I don't mean that in that way. Monopia Artworks. Are you serious, Gabriel? What's up, brother? OMG. Thanks for hopping on. Blessings to you and your beautiful family. It's so good to see you here. And then ever get tired lemon. Hi. Hi. And is that Phoebe? Girl, I think that's Phoebe. I think I saw Phoebe up there too. Oh my God, I love you. You're really pretty. You're so gorgeous. Just had to say that. Okay, moving on. Your DNA and your RNA. Remember, we did a show. Again, I'll come back later on my YouTube and I'll put the links to some of these old shows that we did here on 4DT, but we did one on DNA detoxing. And we talk about how the DNA, right, has the message, it has the story. And the RNA takes the story from the DNA and it says, oh, is that the story? Let's make a copy of that. And we're going to go tell everyone, all the other genes in the body, that this is the story that's happening. And then we're just going to replicate that like an infinite fold right through the trillions of cells and whatever we have in our bodies. And so when we rewrite, we rewire, right? We're informing. If we agree with Deepak Chopra, right? We're informing through those new thought patterns, that new wiring, the DNA, or the DNA, right? So let me read, and then I'll tell you this little thing. So when nothing changes, when you get sick or whatever the situation is, and we just 3D it, we just take the meds, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. But we just take care of the symptom, and we're just 3Ding it on one level, right? Nothing changes. Your DNA and your RNA give the same imprint to all your genes. It's like they're saying, yep, okay, we're doing the same thing again. Yep, we're gonna keep, yep, we're gonna repattern that. We're sticking with the same old thing. So your DNA and your RNA are like getting lazy up in here because they don't got nothing new to do. Right? They're just on repeat of those old patterns, those old stories. So so your DNA are just like, yep, we're doing this one again. We're going to stick with that stomach ailment. We're going to stick with that lower back thing. Oh yeah, they love that. No, they're not rewriting that one now. We're going to stick with that. We're going to stick with the headaches. We're going to stick with the, we're going to, right? So it's like this interesting thing. And I see there's a comment here on YouTube. I'll get to you in just one moment, love. So the same old, right? So everything is like rerunning the same patterns of thought, same thought patterns of mind, of emotions, the chemicals, the triggers, the neurotransmitters. Everything is on rerun and reprint, right? And that's unconscious. That's when we're not operating on a conscious 4D. I'm a multidimensional being. I'm a metaphysical being. I am not just a body level. And again, that's fine. But if we're here, which you are, and we're doing the work, which we are, this is the invitation, is to be aware of the deeper, broader aspect of how we can work with this energy. So let me just read over here. SPE consciousness. Oh, thank you. I think you just recently subscribed. Blessings. First time checking out the live stream. Seen 2 videos. It's all good. Thumbs up for keeping it positive. Blessings. Thank you. That's weird. All those lads go on fasts to open the gates. Never knew about the sickness part. Isn't that great? We're gathering and generating information together and holding space for new ways of healing and new ways of sharing. So thank you for sharing that, for pointing that out. And thank you for being here. So we just have a few more notes and then we're going to wrap it up. So there is the base set. Okay, so understanding that the DNA, the RNA, like there's the base set of reprints that need to happen so that we breathe and so that we digest. And, there's like that level, right, that keep the body running. And within it, there is the blueprint for your holy hologram of health. So you're always, there's that always, your master blueprint, what I talk about in my little book, Higher Self, Blueprint of Mastery, that is always there. It's always there, no matter how many ailments and sicknesses and whatever on top of it. Your God self, your holy blueprint of perfect health is always, always there. And all we're doing is we rewrite the patterns and do all that work, right? And heal and forgive and bless and like let the grief go and have the Reiki session and cry, 15 buckets of tears like I did and, over and over again and whatever. It's removing the obstacles, removing the blockages, removing those patterns that are in the cells, that are in the DNA level of us. So that the truth that's already there, that you don't have to really do anything but other than allow and listen, that can shine through. So imagine it's a slate of perfection, right? This your hologram of health. It's a slate of you as in your perfect health. And we're either always aligning with it or not, right? It's always guiding us. Drink the juice versus having a 5th cup of coffee or just drink water instead of drinking that, that next glass of wine, maybe have a water in between your next glass of wine at the pub or whatever it might be. I don't know for you, but our body, wisdom, maybe your body wants you to have a few glasses of wine. I don't know what your gig is. But also perhaps it might say, and in between each glass of wine, have a nice glass of water. But what I'm saying is our bodies, that hologram, that of perfect health, that is on our side, if you will. They're really sides, I don't know, but that has our back in us, brimming with vibrant life force energy, libido, a will to be alive and to be in harmonic convergence and alignment, in honor and surrender with the truth in our hearts, which is fierce. I mean, that's living. That's really living. That's really living. And your perfect hologram of health is always there guiding you. So are we listening, right? It's always guiding us in little ways to bring us back to aligning so that it can shine and give us that perfect health and energy so that we're excited to get up in the next day and like be in tune with that vision of truth. And we're like, all right, here we go. Even if you work a 9 to 5, but you've got that thing that inspires you that you do on the side on the weekends, or, that you're excited about life. So, okay, here we go. Past life trauma and illness. We're going to review a few things. Past life trauma and illness. You have your perfect hologram of health, right? We come in, if you believe in past life and at all, but that slate gets laid over your perfect, your hologram of health. And so these are aspects you get to work on then as well, right? And maybe it's trauma. Maybe I know for me in this last month, grief. I had no idea how much grief laid in my lungs. I mean, I really had no idea. And a large part of it, what was revealed through many of these healing sessions, and thank you, Will, who is always, but just did such great service of serving my healing path. Past life things came up that were just really far out, where I realized like, oh, I've been rolling, like rollover minutes. I've been rolling over this grief for like thousands of years. And it was time. It was divinely ordained, divine appointment time for that stuff to complete its cycle so that I could meet this call in my heart to make the film Grid Mind Science. And again, you will be healed. You will be called to heal as you allow and align with the truth in your heart. And that was part of my initiation, was to release the grief so that I could have a different set point, a different frequency, not only to experience greater joy and ease and bliss in every moment and every day, but so that I could be a right match for that, energetically, for that truth as it is in my heart. So those things may come up for your healing, right? As that resonates with you, as you rewire during times of ailments, times of sickness. And as these layers come up, we work on them and we heal them. We hit them from every angle so that higher self and God guides. We trust our process. We give it to God, right? At least I do. I say we, but I know that I'm talking about me. And I invite you into the we-ness of the one, of the unity consciousness, that we are one, that we are one. So we trust love. And in the meantime, we rewrite. So when we get sick, right, these layers come up, we work on them, we heal them, we, from every guided aspect and fractal that we're guided to for the highest good, we trust the process. We rewrite the patterns, we do the work. Why? Why? Because in 4D consciousness, in fourth dimensional consciousness, that of the heart space, consciousness, we recognize this is happening for a reason. And the alignment is saying, come, the vortex is open. Come through to the other side of you. So in closing, and I know I talk about this in my Grid Mind Science Log 1 on the YouTube, and it's a part of the love letter this month through my website if you're subscribed there. And I think I even talk a little bit, actually I talk about it with the tarot, this week's tarot on my YouTube as well. What I've been shown is that there's this, and I will come back on the YouTube and I'll put links up here, because we did a 4D Trinity on the crystalline tube, right? The Sushumna that houses the chakras and the vertebrae, the spine. And what I was being shown for my personal thing is that my tube, which I teach, is your energy lung, right, of the energy body vehicle. I teach that the crystalline tube is our energy lung, and that it breathes prana, life force, chi in and out, right? But this is also the central channel that where the tars, the shadow, the pain, the fear, all the stuff, right, gathers. And to the degree that there's tar, just like we see in those videos in school, maybe, I don't know, I know we were shown them in science class, that, the smokers' lungs are all tarred up and gungy, and then like the non-smokers' lungs are all pink and can breathe deeply and stuff. And so since my ailment and my massive healing was last month was specific to the lungs, there was a lot of lung work and lung, exploration that I was doing. And higher self came in and said, yeah, your crystalline tube is like spanking, looking real clear, activated. This is awesome. Yet, now that you're opening your heart to this true vision that is in there, that is asking you to actually get even more out of the way of who you think you are, so this thing can happen for the highest good and not the way that you think it can happen. Yeah, you need to heal your lungs, because your physical lungs, they have to vibrationally match your energy lung, your crystalline tube. And I thought that was so fascinating and so powerful. And it makes sense, because the crystalline tube, right, is that which connects us above and below, the heaven and earth, right? And the lungs is what bisects it, right? Time and space. And for that divine cross, that divine crossroad, that crossings, that divine balance, and that center point, the 0 point that is that heart, that is the love and only love vortex, for that to be fully calibrated, for this part of my journey to happen. And I speak to you because we all have journeys, that the lungs were ready and required that level of healing. And again, I haven't been through a sickness like that. I mean, I can't even remember a sickness like that had me like that. You know, so the lungs take life in. And of course, looking in Louise Hay's books, it's all about taking life in, right? The quality of your breath is the quality of your life, is the quality of your life force, is the quality of your ability to take life in, to take life out. I know, folks, we're at 12:55, so we're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes. But I know, I'm a yoga teacher as well. And to breathe, just to breathe is such a massive thing. And for so many of us, we breathe just into, I mean, the lungs are huge organs. If you look in a little, anatomy book, they're huge. And for most of us, we're only breathing into the upper part of the lung. And there's these huge organs down here that are that are actually can inflate quite huge if you really practice, and can deflate just as much. Really squeeze them in like accordions and really flush out any stagnant air. And if you're a smoker, any stuff, you smoke weed or you smoke whatever you smoke, flush it out, clear, cleanse. And it is said, if you can look this up, that an average size human, if you were to take out the lungs and unfold the tissues, that the lungs in your body can unfold to the width and the space of a tennis court. I think that's very, very powerful. So you have that ability. Can the Wim Hof method help? Can I just tell you something? He is hot. I love him. I honey, whatever you're called to, I love everything that he shares. I love Wim or Vim. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he's a wonderful person and very powerful teachings. So I think if that's what you're guided to, Monopia Artworks, man, I would explore that, because that's very deep meditative. I mean, that's some powerful stuff what he does. If you don't know him, look him up. What is it? You spelled it correctly, I believe. Wimhoff. I mean, this dude like submerges himself in ice cold, in ice, and uses specific breathing training and treatments to create an altered state of consciousness and to override the knee-jerk reactions, the training and the patterns in the body that says get out, or that would otherwise be induced with fear. He's learning how to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, in situations where the body would otherwise have a freak out attack. Like didn't he climb the Himalayas in a pair of shorts and maybe even barefoot or something wild, a very extraordinary person. Thank you for bringing him up and bringing his grid in here, because I really like him a lot. I would love to be in his presence at some time and just receive the transmission of the blessing of his teachings. Yeah, you're saying yes. So everyone, I'm so very grateful. Thank you so much. Again, all of my links, if you're on YouTube, my links to my books, my websites, so you follow me on Insta, you can donate to the channel through PayPal. There's like all sorts of links down there. Subscribe if you really like this. If you're into Instagram and you like my page, follow me there. I will be activating the Grid Mind Science for the film, the Instagram. So I would love your support on that. I'll be, you'll see it. I'll be letting you know. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be on Facebook and all that stuff eventually, and the website. So your support is very, very deeply appreciated with the film. And I'll be documenting it. I'll be, logging Grid Log Mind Science #2, whenever that's going to be guided. I don't know. It might be a week. It might be a month. But I will keep you in tune and informed of those beautiful, miraculous just gifts. And this is it. This is it. We heal our lives so that we can start to really live our truth, live a miracle-based life, get out of the way enough and give enough space to God, to love, and let love lead the way. So thank you everyone on Instagram. I'm so very grateful. I see it's counting down. It does like the little 30-second countdown when it's going to end. So thank you again for all of your support, all of your love, and for being here this morning, for your comments. I'm so very grateful. There's a lot of new people here who I haven't seen on here before. So thank you. And I will see you on Instagram and all of my YouTubers I'm so grateful. Thank you for your comments, for your love and your support. And thank you, all of the new subscribers. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so very grateful. I feel so blessed with these platforms. May everything I share serve your path of spiritual growth and sovereignty. And so it is. Namaste with so much love. Blessings. And thank you so much. Blessings.